By the people.
What's happening around the world and what's happening here at home? A very good evening to and welcome to Weekend Primetime News. I'm Sandro Ferdinando. Let's take a look at your headlines for tonight.
We need a good economy and laws to be enforced if we want to create a brighter future, says the President.
පාරට බැහැලා ගෙවල් ගිනි තියෙන එකත් විසඳුමක් නෙමෙයි. පාර්ලිමේන්තුව වට කරලා අල්ල ගන්න යන එකත් විසඳුමක් නෙමෙයි.
Opposition leader says ready to unite to support decisions that are favorable to the country.
එකට එකතු වීම කියන්නේ තනතුරු තාන්න මාන්න පට්ටම් හුමාරු කර ගැනීම 225 අතර වරදාන වරප්‍රසාද බෙදා හදා ගැනීම නොවේ.
Security in Colombo tightened after authorities received unspecified intelligence reports. Actions of police and armed forces to control protests must not be orchestrated by political motives. A statement by Supreme Court Justice Yasanta Kodagoda. Government lost 900 billion in revenue due to actions of the Inland Revenue Department. A revelation at the COPE committee. 2 suspects arrested in connection to the wild elephant attack in Ududiyaluma, remanded till the 25th. Post-mortem examination conducted on the deceased girl.
First up in news here at home. The orientation program for youth representatives selected for the sectoral oversight committees of the Parliament was held in Colombo today. The event was chaired by President Ranil Wickremesinghe.
Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena, Opposition Leader Sajid Premadasa, Speaker of Parliament Mahindayapa Abewardena attended the event. The youth representatives were selected for the sectoral oversight committees related to 17 subject areas established in the Parliament. Nearly 550 youth representatives will attend the event. The sectoral oversight committees operate with the participation of MPs representing all political parties in Parliament. The program was organized by the Parliament of Sri Lanka with the assistance of the United Nations Development Program.
කිව්වා 225ම දාන්න කියලා දියවන්නවට. ඉතින් 225 දියවන්නවට දැම්ම නම් පරිසරයට හානියක් වෙනවා විතරයි.
It was said that all 225 should be thrown into the Diyavanna Oya. Throwing the 225 into the Diyavanna Oya would only result in environmental pollution. After that, the secretaries of political parties will appoint another 225 to Parliament. That is not the solution. Taking to the streets and burning down houses is also not a solution. Surrounding Parliament and attempting to seize control of the complex is not a solution. But we had issues at that time. Why did we go bankrupt? What happened to our economy? What had happened to us? Even I have these questions. In the past, Sri Lanka was only second to Japan. But where are we today? The economy has collapsed and our country is bankrupt. At a time when we cannot move forward like this, we are restructuring everything. The price of fuel is being determined by a fuel pricing formula. Many state-owned enterprises are to be restructured. Companies like Sri Lankan Airlines are to be sold. We are thinking of a new education system. We can't be calling ourselves a developing country every day. We want a good future and a good economy and a country where the law is enforced. Provide your ideas on how to do this. In 25 years, all of you will be able to say that it was because of the steps that we took that Sri Lanka is a developed country today.
කියන්න පුළුවන් අපි මෙතනින් ගත්ත පියවර නිසා තමයි අද ලංකාව දියුණු රටක් බවට පත් වෙන්නේ කියලා.
අපි කතරම්
No matter our differences, the time has come for us to unite to fulfill the duties to the nation. I must stress to the youth here that uniting means adding value to the nation and not just exchanging positions and benefits among the 225 in Parliament. The people's struggle that took place in the country was instrumental in making these steps a reality.
මේ රටේ සිදුවුණු ජනතා අරගලය අද මේ ක්‍රියාදාමය සාක්ෂාත් කරන්නට බොහෝ ලෙස ඉවහල් වුණා.
The official launch of the recommended guidelines to the state and law enforcement officials on dealing with civilian protests by the Human Rights Commission of Sri Lanka took place in Colombo on Friday.
The recommended guidelines to the state and law enforcement officials on dealing with civilian protests was launched by President's Counsel Sarath Jayamana at the Human Rights Commission on Friday. Senior judicial officers, Commander of the Sri Lanka Air Force, representatives from the police and the Tri-Forces, senior political figures and representatives from the civil society participated in the event. Chairperson of the Human Rights Commission of Sri Lanka, Justice Rohini Marasinghe, delivered the opening address.
Today, the Human Rights Commission is launching to the public at large these guidelines, as the title would correctly indicate, as recommended guidelines. The recommended guidelines must transform at some point as guidelines and become enforceable under Section 55 of the Police Ordinance. That is another process where the Human Rights Commission will call upon the representatives of the state, the police, the Tri-Forces, specialized groups such as BASL, Bar Association, the human rights activists, civil society, and the public at large to present their views.
During his speech, President's Counsel Sarath Jayamana commented about Section 120 of the Penal Code.
Essence of Section 120 is whether the words in question incite the people to commit acts of violence and disorder, and not whether their words are defamatory. Criticizing the government does not constitute an offence under Section 120. Can you remember, there was a young boy who created a particular hashtag asking a particular person to go home. He was produced under Section 120. He never incited people to take arms for violence. So therefore, this is another classic example how when the government is criticized, you should not use this power.
Justice of the Supreme Court of Sri Lanka, His Lordship Yasantha Kodagoda, was the chief guest of the event.
In a functioning democracy, protests are not uncommon. Protests are in fact very natural. The state and her people can have divergent views. Groups of people may also have divergent views among them. People may want to openly express their opposition to certain policies and practices of the state. In fact, the existence of peaceful protests can be identified as a feature of a truly functioning democracy and a free society. To me, a protest is an external manifestation of a group of persons jointly exercising the fundamental right to freedom of speech and expression and the freedoms of peaceful assembly and association, coupled with political activism with one or more political or other goals. What is the golden thread, as I see, which surrounds the legal principles that govern the response of the police and the armed forces, is that the action must be lawful, carried out in good faith, and not be orchestrated by political motives towards the suppression of lawful protest or suppression of other forms of dissent which are expressed through lawful means. We must not allow these guidelines to remain recommended guidelines. In a country such as Sri Lanka, it is important that important legal principles contained in these guidelines be converted into enforceable rules.
Continuing in more local news, security has been tightened in several areas in Colombo since last night. A police media spokesperson, SSP Nihal Thaldewa, said that security has been tightened after they received unspecified intelligence information.
He added that police special task force, army and police anti-riot teams have been deployed. Meanwhile, special operations are in place in other parts of the island. The police media spokesperson said that the security arrangement will be in place until the relevant information is updated by the intelligence agencies. When news first inquired in this regard, it was reported that security has been tightened based on the information that some group associated with the University of Colombo is ready to exert some influence on the government. This action was taken according to intelligence information that a group of around 750 people from within the University of Colombo were behaving in a rebellious manner, and in addition, the security forces had taken steps to strengthen the security around the Colombo Independence Square, around the Kolpiti Junction and around the temple trees. Meanwhile, this is how security was tightened in Kurunegala.
Several views have been expressed recently regarding plans to change the Prime Minister. Meanwhile, nearly a week has passed since the Presidential Secretariat informed the governors of the Sabaragamuwa, Uva, Northern and Eastern provinces to resign. However, none of the governors have resigned so far. What is happening? Are these governors, who are the representatives of the President, following orders of someone else besides the President? Or who is this other person? Or is there a power struggle within the government?
The Presidential Secretariat informed the Governor of the Sabaragamuwa Province, Tikiri Kobbakaduwa, Governor of the Uva Province, A.J.M. Muzammil, Governor of the Northern Province, Jeevan Tyagaraja, Governor of the Eastern Province, Anuradha Yahampat, Governor of the Northwestern Province, Admiral of the Fleet, Vasantakara Nagoda, and Governor of the Western Province, Marshal of the Air Force, Roshan Gunathilaka, to resign from their posts. It was also reported that attempts were being made to appoint frontiers of the United National Party to the posts instead. However, none of the governors have resigned so far. Meanwhile, individuals affiliated to the United National Party made several statements regarding the appointment of governors.
I saw my name being mentioned on Facebook. I believe that he must be looking at appointing members of the party who are qualified, has no black marks and have served the party well. I don't know who they will be exactly.
The chairman of the Exat Lakwanita Peramuna, Shantini Kongahage, says that if she is given the responsibility of a governor, she is ready to fulfill the responsibilities demanded by the position.
If I am appointed as a governor, it is a position where one must act independently. As a woman, I am ready to accept any responsibility. I have not asked for anything from the president to date. If a responsibility is given, one must perform their duties properly.
Several factions were against the current governors being asked to resign. There were requests that were submitted to allow the current governors to remain in office. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena summoned the governors to temple trees yesterday against such a backdrop.
Some governors were accused by the members of parliament that they are not fulfilling their duties properly. I think that they will correct themselves and we hope that they will do the work.
Currently, provincial councils are being controlled by governors. Local government bodies are also under the control of commissioners, and governors are responsible to supervise their conduct. Against such a backdrop, the government has continued to highlight the need of commissioners who are in charge of local government bodies to work closely with district and regional coordinating committees consisting largely of politicians. In the current circumstances, can the president appoint new governors? Should the current governors first resign from their positions?
When the president asks them to resign, they must resign and allow the president to appoint individuals that he trusts to hold these positions. That is the correct way. The president cannot work with them. There's a collision, so they can't work with each other. The country will be suffering the loss. Generally, governors hold office at the behest of the president. when a new president takes office, all the governors must resign. Therefore, if they do not resign, the president can appoint new governors.
අස් වුණ නැත්තොත් ජනාධිපතිට පුළුවන් අලුත් ආණ්ඩුකාරතුමන්ලාව පත් කරන්නට.
If that is the situation, how will this governor's crisis be resolved?
Information has come to light that the actions of the Inland Revenue Department has caused the government a loss of over 900 billion rupees. These details were revealed during the proceedings of the COPE committee.
The main issue we have regarding the Inland Revenue Department is the issues in the computer system that assists in collecting and managing tax revenue. There is an issue as to if the computer system fulfills the activities expected from it. Secondly, the issue on taxes that are due. The summation of the tax dues, fines and interests by the 31st of December 2022 is 904 billion rupees. It is very close to $1 trillion. These are taxes that should be charged. In addition, the taxes that are due include the VAT. Why can't immediate legal action be taken in this regard?
ආසන්නයි. දැන් මේවා අයවැය යුතු ප්‍රමාණයක්. ඊට අමතරව අර කියන හිඟබදු ප්‍රමාණය ඇතුලේ තියෙනවා VAT බද්ද. වහාම නීතිමය ක්‍රියාමාර්ග ගන්න බැරියයි. ටෝටල් එක ගත්තාම
It is correct that the total is over 900 billion rupees. When an assessment is presented, the taxpayer has the right to take the matter to court. Sometimes the cases drag on for years in courts. We cannot get those tax revenue until the hearing of those cases conclude. You said that the amount of taxes due is 904 billion rupees. This is an amount calculated by you. It isn't a figure calculated by the Auditor General. According to your explanation, is there an issue regarding recovering taxes that are due, or are you saying that there is no issue? There is an issue. There is an issue in securing these taxes that are due. Out of the 900 billion rupees, we cannot take action against all of it in court. We can only take action against confirmed taxes. We cannot take matters that are on appeal to court.
Questions were also raised on the functionality of the computer system that was set up, spending a sum of 16 billion rupees.
Imagine the president, not me, but the president requests for a report on the tax status in the country within 24 hours. Are you in a position to provide a report?
සිස්ටම් එකේ තියෙන ටේබල් සිස්ටම් එක ඇතුලේ තියෙන ටික දෙන්න පුළුවන්. මේ අවුරුද්දේ මට ඔබතුමන්ලගේ account එක certify කරන්න ගියාම මටත් ප්‍රශ්නයක් එනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ අපි බිලියන 10.
That means that despite setting up a system at a cost of 16 billion rupees, we still cannot get a proper report from that system. While discussions at the COPE committee focused on how the government has been deprived of 900 billion rupees in tax revenue, there is still much doubt as to if Sri Lanka will lose out on the compensation that is due to the country for the damage caused by the Express Pearl disaster. The Supreme Court fixed for inquiry on the 24th of this month a motion submitted to compel the Marine Pollution Prevention Authority to submit to court the reports on compensation for the damages caused by the Express Pearl disaster against such a backdrop. The motion filed by the Centre for Environmental Justice was taken up before a Supreme Court bench comprising of Justices Priyantha Jayawardena, Kumuduni Wickramasinghe and Mahinda Samayawardena. What happened when the report on the compensation for the damages caused was requested?
The respondent state institutions, the Attorney General's Department and the shipping company were unwilling, and they opposed presenting the report on compensation for damages to court. Then the question that we have is, are these institutions that are run on taxpayers' money and the Attorney General's Department against compensation for this incident being obtained from a court in Sri Lanka?
Why was legal action filed overseas?
This disaster took place in our local seas. The law that applies there is Sri Lankan law. Therefore, we have a serious suspicion on why this case was not filed in a Sri Lankan court, because the factions that filed action did not present any reason as to why they filed action overseas. We are suspicious as to if by filing action somewhere else, instead of solving this issue through Sri Lankan courts, they are indirectly saying that our Sri Lankan courts are not fit to examine such a matter and give a proper decision. It must be considered as disregarding the judiciary and judges here in Sri Lanka.
යුතුයි අපේ රටේ අධිකරණ පද්ධතිය හැල්ලුවට ලක් කිරීමක් හැටියට අපේ රටේ විනිසුරුවන් හැල්ලුවට ලක් කිරීමක් හැටියට.
How important is this compensation that is due to us?
ඩොලර් බිලියන 2.0 ගාණක් IMF එකෙන් ගන්න.
The suffering that our people and state sector employees are going through to secure a loan of over $2 billion from the IMF. This is a loan. Against such a backdrop, in securing a sum that is 3 times that amount, the lack of efficiency and transparency by state officials makes us suspicious. If Sri Lanka gets this sum of money, we can do much with it.
පතල සැකසංකා මතුවෙනවා. මෙය අපේ රට ලැබුණොත් එහෙම වටිනා මුදලක් මේ අවස්ථාවේ හැටියට විශාල වැඩ කොටසක් රටට කරන්න පුළුවන්.
Meanwhile, environmentalist Ajanta Pereira handed over a letter to the Presidential Secretariat yesterday regarding securing compensation for the damage caused by the Express Pearl disaster.
empty diamond naukawe salli tika
There is an issue on where the $5 million from the empty new diamond ship went to. Whose account was it deposited to? The same thing is going to happen to the compensation due from the Express Pearl ship. $250 million is said to have been deposited to an account in England, but we still don't know the details. They are giving a false name. When this matter is taken to Singapore for legal action, we will never be able to find who got this money and what accounts it has been sent to. Today we are a lost country. Officials are not working properly. The merchant shipping didn't work properly. There is corruption behind the ship coming into our waters as well. It was after this that the damage was caused. If something like this happened in another country, how much of compensation would they have claimed?
Do you remember the 3rd of September 2020? The damage caused to the nation by the new diamond ship that went up in flames off in the eastern seas of the country. Although the company was ordered to pay over $442 million to cover the cost to douse the flames and to cover the damage caused to the environment, only a portion of that amount was paid. Will this same fate befall the compensation due from the Express Pearl ship?
The 2 people arrested over the incident in which a young woman died and another sustained injuries when an elephant attacked a couple camping overnight in the Udadiyulum areas of Koslanda have been remanded till the 25th of May.
The tour guide and the person who arranged the camping site for the couple were remanded after being produced before the Bandarawala Magistrates Court. The suspects were arrested on charges of aiding and abetting the couple to camp on a site that was known to be an area where elephants roam. The post-mortem examination conducted on the young woman revealed she died due to injuries to her chest and stomach. Her remains have been placed at her residence in Kakanadura, Mathura. The young man who sustained injuries in the elephant attack expressed these views today.
We went to the rock where the incident happened. The lower area was cleaned. He said he cleaned the site and asked us to set up a camp there. He said it was a suitable site and elephants come to the upper area for water. We heard growling. There was a dog with us and we heard it growling. I thought it was a wild boar. I didn't hear an elephant. It started to fight with the dog and suddenly knocked on our tent. Thereafter it fell in and ripped our tent. I moved the tent away but it didn't work. The elephant started circling us. I had nothing else to do so I held on to her. I didn't care if anything happened to me. I wanted to protect her so I shielded her from the elephant. I felt the elephant stomp on me but I didn't make any noise. I told her not to worry as well. I couldn't cover her legs. There was no damage to upper body, but her legs were hurt and appeared to be broken. But she spoke to me for around 4 hours. She only asked if we could fix her legs so she could walk again. I didn't fall asleep because I was afraid the elephant will return. I covered her with a sheet and let her be. If you told me it was a route taken by elephants and advised us against camping there, I wouldn't have set up the tent there. I don't like to take risks.
Tour guide of the Udadiyaluma Conservation Organisation, Sugatilakaratna, said the camp was not set up with the advice of trained and approved guides. Are there guidelines to be followed when setting up camp in the wilderness?
Domestic tourists as well as foreign tourists. Please use approved establishments and services when you are touring the island. At the same time, when you are using services in Sri Lanka, especially tourists, please make use of the authorized sector services where there are travel agents, hotels, recreational service providers, where they are bound to maintain certain quality and standards, and in the unfortunate event, incident takes place, we will be able to compensate them through the proper channels.
More news will come your way after this commercial break. Stay tuned.
ඉන්ෂුරන්ස් කොහෙද තියෙන්නේ? සුපර් මාකට් එකෙන් වගේ තෝරලා බේරලා ගැලපෙන ඉන්ෂුරන්ස් එක අරගන්න නම් මේ තියෙන ඉන්ෂුරන්ස් සුපර් මාකට් එක. ඉන්ෂුරන්ස් එක ගන්නවා නම් ඉන්ෂුරන්ස් එකට කතා කරන්න. ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ ඉන්ෂුරන්ස් සුපර් මාකට් එක insurme.lk.
The hostel building of the South Asian Centre for Teach Development was declared open by Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena on Saturday.
Minister Bandula Gunawardena and Susil Premajayantha, Indian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, His Excellency Gopal Bagle, Bangladesh High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, Tariq Ariful Islam, and officers from the South Asian Centre for Teacher Development and the Education Minister participated in the event. The building was constructed with funds provided by the Sri Lankan government.
But when it comes to education, standard of education, literacy rate and other things, we are not as endowed if we compare ourselves with the Western world. But you will all agree that if we are, in fact, we have to compete with the Western world and make ourselves, progress further. We have to improve on our education sector, and there is a long way to go. Maybe Sri Lanka is in a better situation, but when you look at the other member countries of the South Asia, I think we have a long way to go.
Regionalization, regional cooperation, it existed in our cultures, in our geography, even thousands of years ago. And today, as we stand here on this important day, at this important place, SACTAD, I think what we need to understand once again, and this occasion emphasizes and highlights the importance of regional cooperation for development of our human resource, education and teachers.
This is an opportunity that no doubt two High Commissioners are here today with us, accepting our invitation, and some of other ambassadors informed us their inability to attend today, but we are going to have with the participation of all 8 SAARC countries representatives, a board meeting in Colombo, and then we'll design all the programs, future programs for the SACTAD, and we can go ahead with that. When I was practicing in high courts, of course, we had to update our knowledge. We have to familiar with the amendments. Otherwise, you are losing the case. Then you are losing your job. But here, of course, none of our professionals in this particular field, they are not losing their job. Whether the students getting 9S or 9F during 2020 and 2021 COVID period, all the public servants were paid. Students, they didn't have classes for over 50%, 40% they didn't have classes. But they had to sit for the examination. So with all these difficulties, so they sat for the exams. But this time, A-level paper marking was delayed for two months. So most of the people and organizations, they are talking about fundamental rights and the human rights. But none of them speaking about fundamental rights of children. Because they are not voters. 95% of students are under 18 years. So they don't have votes. Even in courts, canvassing for the rights of adults, not the students.
The Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, Nandalal Weerasinghe, says that the Central Bank will ensure financial system stability and protect public deposits during any kind of domestic debt optimization.
The Governor of the Central Bank made this statement on Twitter. Meanwhile, according to the report issued by the Central Bank, during the year ending as at yesterday, the Sri Lankan rupee has appreciated by 15.8% against the US dollar. The rupee has also appreciated by 12.9% against the euro and 11.4% against the sterling pound. The rupee has also appreciated by 14.8% against the Indian rupee.
In a groundbreaking move, the Sri Lankan Navy has made history by assigning its first group of women to sea duties.
The first group of Navy women, including 2 lady officers and 5 women sailors, were attached to the SLNS Gajabahu, marking a momentous step forward. Breaking barriers and shattering traditional gender roles, the Navy offered the Inshore Patrol Craft Handling Foundation course in October 2022. During the course held at the Naval and Maritime Academy and Naval Dockyard Trincomalee, these lady officers and women sailors sharpened their practical and theoretical knowledge on navigation, seamanship, engineering, electrical, combat medicine, firefighting and communication.
Reflections 2023, the annual bonsai exhibition organized by the Sri Lanka Bonsai Association, commenced this morning in Colombo. News First, Theruni Konnaratne reports.
The beautiful Japanese art of bonsai is said to be very similar to a meditation, simply due to the tranquility it radiates. I am at Reflections 2023, which is the annual bonsai exhibition hosted by the Sri Lanka Bonsai Association. Bonsai enthusiasts from all around Sri Lanka are gathered here today to witness the results of the hard work put into these artwork by their artists. Now, many of these bonsai trees on display are part of award-winning collections. So join me as we take a look at the world of bonsai. Bonsai is a very delicate art which involves growing and training miniature trees in containers. Engaging in this art has a range of advantages, with relieving of stress, development of patience, boosting creativity, and improvement of focus being just a few. The opening ceremony of Reflections 2023, Living Images, was graced by the Japanese ambassador to Sri Lanka, His Excellency Mizukoshi Hidaiki.
Japan and Sri Lanka have a long relationship, and this relationship is supported not only by the political level but by the people doing the cultural things as well. And bonsai is, I think it's not just growing plants, it has a spirit. So I think by practicing bonsai, Sri Lankan people will understand more deeply the Japanese culture, and I think that will be a very good opportunity for Japanese and Sri Lanka to understand each other.
President of the Sri Lanka Bonsai Association, Druki Martinstein, had the following to say about this annual exhibition.
The association started in 1989 when the late Parnell Gunawardena came back from Japan after learning the art of bonsai. We have progressed since then. We've had a lot of exhibitions, but unfortunately during the last 3 years we couldn't have one. But hopefully those who come and view the exhibition will see this beautiful art of bonsai, which is a living art.
Many bonsai enthusiasts from around the country visited the exhibition today. Reflections 2023 will be open to the public tomorrow as well, from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the Women's International Club, Colombo. Special demonstrations will be conducted by award-winning and experienced bonsai artists at 4 p.m. tomorrow. Sudat Veheravatta, Theruni Konnaratne, reporting for News First.
The Devious Savior Social Service Project, which aims to empower the future generation of Sri Lanka by extending a helping hand to children in need, continued today as well. The program was conducted in the Bulletin district.
Exercise books and stationery equipment are distributed to school children under the Devious Savior program. This worthy initiative is being carried out by the LOLC group with the support of the Ministry of Education. Books and other stationery items were distributed among students of the Mathalan RC Vidyalaya, Mulathiv Muslim Vidyalaya, Walain Madam GTMS Vidyalaya and the Shiyanagar TV Vidyalaya in the Mulathiv district today. Another group that is part of the LOLC group's Devious Savior program visited the Arumukatan Kulam GTMS Vidyalaya and the Muripur Tamil Vidyalaya today. Students of the Manna Kandal GTMS Vidyalaya and the Karuna Dukkereni GTMS Vidyalaya also received exercise books and stationery equipment today. The LOLC Devious Savior program will continue to ensure a better future for all children in Sri Lanka.
Ukraine says it has recaptured ground in Bakhmut, a rare advance after months of grinding Russia gains in the eastern city.
Kyiv said its forces advanced 2 kilometers in a week. Russia said its troops had regrouped in one area. The claims signal a momentum shift in Bakhmut, but more widely, there is no clear evidence of a Ukrainian counter-offensive. However, 2 explosions were reported on Friday in Russian-occupied Luhansk. Images posted on social media, verified by the BBC, show a big plume of black smoke rising from the city, which lies about 90 kilometers behind the front line in eastern Ukraine. The cause has not been confirmed, but the blasts come a day after the UK said it supplied Ukraine with long-range Storm Shadow cruise missiles. Luhansk is beyond the reach of the HIMARS rockets Ukraine has previously relied on for deep strikes against Russian targets.
Meanwhile, India's main opposition, the Congress party led by Rahul Gandhi, claimed victory in a crucial election in the state of Karnataka. Although results are being released at present, it is reported that Chief Minister of the Karnataka, Basavaraj Bommai, has accepted defeat.
As per the results released by state media thus far, the Congress won the majority of claiming 137 out of 224 state assembly seats, defeating Prime Minister Narendra Modi's governing Bharatiya Janata Party, where they claimed only 64 seats. According to analysts, the Congress party's unexpected victory in Karnataka state election was down to a strong anti-incumbency sentiment towards the BJP. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Narendra Modi congratulated the Congress party via a tweet and conveyed his best wishes to the party to fulfill the people's aspirations.
And with that, wrap up news for tonight. Thank you very much for joining us. Do take care and good night.